Welcome to episode 4 of Think Like a Marketer Show. I'm Randall Chestnut, your host, and we have an exciting show today. I have Trey Nicholson with Sponsor here. He's going to talk about the attention economy. But before we do that, I want to say thank you to our sponsors at spokenabout.com, where they take customers from Facebook to appointment book. So we have a lot to cover in such a short amount of time here with Trey Nicholson. God, your list of accomplishments are short.
Extremely short.
So you went to Texas. So Trey's a marketing consultant for a company out in Silicon Valley. You've worked with the firm you're with has worked with sponsors.
Yes, we deal with about 60 to 80 different startups out in Silicon Valley at any one time, and it's a pretty impressive list of past clients: Snapchat, Nest, that sort of thing. It's called Keating Consulting Firm and Keating Consulting Group. Sorry.
Yeah.
We basically provide CFO and accounting services for startups, kind of their back office, so that the founders can stay focused on the dream.
Yeah.
We kind of do everything else in the background, and so it's a neat opportunity for me to work with startups at the earliest stage to when they get too big for us.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I couldn't imagine just the insight that you have. So I want to break it down into 3 parts in here because there's so much I want to share, but we got 45 minutes and limited amount of attention, as you know.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about privacy first.
Okay.
And we can move on to the attention economy, which is what we live in, kind of help people understand what that is for the people who don't understand. And then at the end, we do some fun stuff on insider stuff that may be going on in the advertising world as it revolves around maybe augmented reality, AI, and those types of things.
Cool.
So privacy. Recently, we had Mark Zuckerberg had to go to Washington to tell everyone that we have privacy issues.
Yeah, some consider them issues. Some are okay. Yeah,
I don't think there is. Like, who does not know when you post, I'm having a sandwich at XYZ shop, that you just told everybody where you're at, and that's not private.
Right. No, it was in the terms of service, right? It was.
It was in the terms of service,
which you did not read, which nobody reads. But
I mean, be honest. I mean, not even an attorney could understand most of that stuff.
Yeah, and sometimes by design, but Facebook is fair. Facebook, they kind of as they get a little bigger, they get into kind of gray area where they kind of use data outside of their own domain.
Yeah,
like when I signed up for Facebook, I completely, and maybe it's because we're both familiar with the model and attention as a product, right?
Right.
Attention economy. So we're familiar that we are the product. And we were comfortable with that. That's the fair trade.
Right.
When we signed up Facebook, we're getting something, we're giving something. Some people maybe didn't think about it that way when they signed up, apparently.
Yeah. So one of the things in the privacy issue, we had this outside company that was gaming the system, so to speak. That's the way that that's the way outside people were presented. Right. I mean, would you say that was accurate?
No, I don't. I think it was predictable. I don't know. It wasn't accurate. Maybe it was. They used third party data is being collected. That third party data was handled maybe a little carelessly or outside of what it was intended to be. They collected some of it and used it for their own purposes. That's going to happen. That's natural law. If that's out there, that's going to happen. So, and just my own, I know that those ads didn't make that much of a difference in the election. So the uproar is a little amplified.
Yeah.
Because of the political ramifications.
I think that was more of you got to be honest. Facebook is a very liberal, right? They're not a conservative. Yeah. I mean, they've already admittedly so. They're trying to, first off, they got over 2 billion users. I mean, to manage, no corporation in history has had to manage that many people.
It's new ground. Right?
It's new ground. They're doing their best. I mean, hey, Facebook has done amazing things. Mm-hmm. And when you deal with that many people, just like Biggie Smith said, more money, more problems, more people, more problems. They just become these issues that are non-issues. Like Facebook is in business to connect people. I honestly believe that. But inside of connecting those people is a model that has to make money.
That's right.
And that model makes money for most people probably never look at their 401k. And when they, talk about these corporations, Facebook being one of them, not wanting them to make money, well, you might want to look at your 401k.
Right. No, Facebook, it's supposed to make money. But I do think I am impressed with Zuckerberg's. He seems committed to the fact that he really is trying to connect people. That is his vision. And the new ads you've seen where they talked about how great Facebook was, and then they started tracking, and then we're going to fix that kind of thing. It's a great story. It was a great move by them.
Right.
I do think there are pressures under a company that big to make money. It's answering shareholders now, has to make money. So it perhaps has kind of ventured out into the creepy land of collecting data outside of Facebook and trying to work with others who want the data. And there are, ramifications to privacy because of that. And I guess the good part about this is the market's working it out. I don't think the government needs to step in at all. That the hearing's a joke.
I trust the government zero and stuff like this.
They'll make it worse, as they do with just about everything they touch. But the market's we're just in the middle of it. We're just everybody's reacting is inflamed, but we're in the middle of it. The market is working it out.
Right.
It's going to be a solid issue.
I think if people really understood, I just happen to own a financial services business that deals with data, right?
Yeah.
Forget Facebook, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do credit bureaus have? Well, credit bureau, a need to know basis, most of the information. If you're not, there's certain aspects of your data that's a need to know information,
right?
But they can know when you use your credit card, where you were when you used the credit card, what did you buy, what's your car payment, what's your house payment. There's all this data already out there that on a need to know basis, meaning if you're a corporation and you have a license to do certain things, you can get that information.
Yeah.
Attorneys, for example, you go to the courthouse and you file for a new business, new business. How does your mailbox all of a sudden know that you just started a new business?
Oh, you're on the list now.
And that's government.
Sure.
That's a government entity.
Yeah.
So we're going to trust them to protect our data, and they already have all this data on us. Because Social Security, where we work, how much we make.
Right. It was funny. It was funny when the one congressman asked Zuckerberg, "Do you think you do a better job protecting, or you do a better job protecting people's information than the government would?" He just answered yes.
Yes,
and absolutely. I mean,
oh my God, was that a joke?
Yeah, the Social Security numbers. That's a horrible idea.
So so privacy is basically gone. I mean, it's kind of like if you opened up a feather pillow, and you let it go in the wind, you could never get all the feathers back in the pillow if you tried to fix it.
That is true. Now, I am trying. I would like to make the case, and sponsor. In fact, we get to talking about that. I am trying to make the case that privacy is not. It kind of depends on the angle you look, but I'm going to make the argument privacy is not dead.
Oh, well, that's what we want to talk about for sure.
That and you kind of talked about it with the one of the key elements, and you have to think of your data is a very valuable asset. It's your data is bought and sold every day, right?
Right.
The market needs to operate in a way that it knows who you are, so it can get messages to you that fit. That's valuable to the advertisers. That's valuable to you.
Yep.
It's valuable, and it's the lubricant in the market.
Right.
Information exchange. You know where to go and buy and that sort of thing. So, but who should own that data? And probably 80% of the data that's collected about you, that it starts to get a little creepy when you kind of learn what's going on, is to try and figure out who you are as a consumer. What message should you receive? Are you a cat owner? Do you like Thai food? What model Ford pickup do you drive? There's pretty harmless data,
right?
That it just needs. So 80% of that's pretty harmless data that marketers just need to operate.
Right.
It makes sense in the market. So
I agree.
If we can solve that, and if we can allow consumers to own that part of themselves, like, who knows Randall better than Randall?
Right.
In 10 minutes, you could create a consumer profile of yourself that blows any third party attempt away.
Right. And it'll be accurate.
It'll be accurate. It'll be green. You'd be comfortable with it.
Right.
You did it. You opted in. And it would solve 80 to 90% of what the marketers need to operate anyway. If everybody owned their own data. So
I guess you just segue into the attention economy. You did. No. That was the next move. It was really privacy is.
I'm still talking about data.
Dead, right? Our privacy has gone out the window long before Facebook,
right?
Long before all of the social media. The government was collecting when really, I guess you could maybe even before, but for sure when they started creating these credit reports and they grew and they started collecting all this data. so they could make a decision on, should I give this person a loan or not give them a loan? Should I trust this person, based on a job, insurance rating, all of these types of things? They have to have data on a person to make that decision.
And you bring up a good point too, that there's probably some data points that you should not be in charge of about yourself. Like you shouldn't be in charge of your own credit score.
Like, no, right. Yeah. You should be able to understand how it is created, though.
You should so you can so. You should be able to dispute. You should be able to correct, because they make mistakes. When there's third-party data, there are mistakes. So much is at stake for you. You need to be able to correct that. And that's what you've got a lot of experience.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing about that topic is a lot of people don't understand. So the credit bureau is a houser of data, and it is the third parties who actually put the data inside of it.
Yeah.
So the credit bureau isn't putting it, inputting data. It's Bank of America's and Wells Fargo's and these institutions. They're paying to put this information in there. Yep. And then FICO, the Fair Isaac scoring system, is outside of the credit bureau. People think that they're one and the same when you generate a credit score.
Right. It's not the government.
It's the credit bureaus have the actual data. And there's these different scoring models from FICO to I don't know why I just had a brain cramp. There's different. There's first off, even inside. Equifax has their own. They use I can't. I just had a brain fart. Anyway, they use these different models to score. But if you go to a bank, they're going to use the Fair Isaac scoring system. The thing that people don't know is the people who are going to give you a loan are the very people who provide who put the information in the system that create algorithms through and know the algorithm that's created to generate a score, and they're going to base their products, interest rate on the data that they're putting in there, and then the system that they control. So they control both sides of it. A lot of people don't know this stuff. Anyway, it's so the point I wanted to make is that our day we had privacy issues way before social media came. It's just now social media, we have a different form of that's actually consumers now can have data. Like you need to know stuff like, why do I need to know that Randall's over there having a sandwich? Well, if I was a bad person, I know that Trey wasn't at home. Because Trey just told me he wasn't at home, so now I could go.
Now the house is empty.
Yeah. Where the information, like the credit bureaus, there wasn't stuff like that. It was just making decisions. So I
think one thing this has done is made people increasingly, and I think you and I are just ahead of the curve. You and I both get frustrated. Yeah. The general consumer either doesn't know or doesn't care.
Right.
Yet.
Yeah, not yet. Well,
starting, but these kind of headlines, it just takes a long time for the consumer masses.
Right.
To start getting concerned. I think they're going to start to get a little bit more concerned about privacy.
Right.
And these type of issues have helped. Over in Europe, there's just a different culture over there about privacy. And they've just, recently I'm sure you got.
Yep. Everybody's got these privacy updates.
The GDPR. Yeah.
It's like every.
Yeah. And that's something that, Sponsor UData, our company, we don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
That we're in complete compliance because we've completely, we haven't got to this part yet, but we're trying to get consumers to control their own data, build their own profile, put it in the marketplace and compete, and just beat the third party data sources in the marketplace.
Well, I think that's a good segue into the attention economy. Give us a brief explanation of when somebody says we live in the attention economy, what exactly that means, and how does that apply to a business, and how does that apply to an individual?
Well, probably I was trying to think of the best way to explain kind of what's meant by there's one central tenet to the attention economy. You have to understand that attention is a product.
Right.
First of all, if that's not in your head yet, if that's not part of how you think about advertising, marketing, then you're not quite understanding the economics yet. So attention is a product. Your advertisers buy your attention every day.
Right.
They just don't buy it from you.
And there's been numbers.
Spend money on Randall's attention.
Yeah, huge number, like in the thousands of times every day that you run across the ads, whether if you're driving down the street, you're on Facebook scrolling, Snapchat, whatever it is, or you're going to eat something at the restaurant, all of the television, radio.
Yeah. Well, the digital advertising market is expected to exceed $100 billion in the U.S. alone this year. That's just the U.S. That's just this year, $100 billion. So that's huge.
All right.
And that means there are a lot of companies out there getting rich, tracking you and selling your data and your attention.
Right.
And that is a huge business model. It's in fact, Facebook and Google, the two the two behemoths we think of, that is what they sell, attention.
Yeah.
That is what drives it. When, kind of for decades, media buyers, the people who placed ads in newspapers and TV shows and all that, they're placing media, they're buying media, but what more specifically, they're buying attention.
Right.
They're trying to buy attention. And so what's it look like? So the attention economy, what's it look like when you really think of attention as a product? What rules are, just change your thinking now.
Right.
And start to realize that it's going to start to change how you think about privacy. It's going to start to think about how you think of advertising.
Right. Well, like you said, if you just took attention and you said it's, an item, an actual physical item, and people are buying that item from you, and it's yours.
Yeah.
And the way that you're getting compensated, we get compensated in different ways. Like you said, that we get Google Maps. It's totally free. Google spent billions of dollars creating it just so they could get your attention to these other things, and Gmails, and Facebook says, we'll connect you all over the world and allow you to do these Facebook Lives. But all we ask is that we can monetize your attention for you.
Right. If think of attention as a product, you're the only one. You're the sole supplier of Randall's attention.
Right.
You create it and you're the supplier, and yet you're not in on the transaction. Right. You're not they're not coming to you to buy it.
Right. So they do give you value, though.
They give you value. True. You're true.
There's a value in exchange.
Still, but still imagine you were going to create an app to sell apples.
Right.
An app, and it was delivered fresh, cold apples. And I'm looking at your business plan. You say, we've got all the greatest technology. You just click a button. What type? Granny Smith, cold, warm, sweet, tart, whatever. It's going to come within 5 minutes. It's going to show up. Pristine, beautiful apple. And your business model is beautiful. And all this complex technology to get it. And you tell me that your suppliers, you don't really have suppliers for the apples. You're just going to run into people's yards and pick apples when they're not looking.
Right.
And I'm going, that's a horrible business model. That's never going to work. You're going to have a supply problem.
Right.
Eventually the property owners aren't going to like it. You're stealing their apples. And so there's going to be problems. And that's exactly what's happening in the attention economy now. You've got Facebook, Google do a pretty good job, but you've got thousands of other vendors in the online internet advertising industry that are claiming they sell attention, and they literally don't have it to sell.
Right.
They literally, the suppliers, you and me, have opted out. We're not supplying attention to online ads. We're blocking, ignoring. Sometimes they're not scrolling down.
Yeah, I think television is one of those.
Yeah, television's certainly one of those. But you go to the restroom, you skip, you fast forward.
There's just no way that they could verify with certainty that this is what they can say, that the ad was created and it was broadcast, but they can't with great certainty say it was broadcast into Randall Chestnut's room and Randall Chestnut was watching the commercial.
They can't say that
when it came on. No, Randall Chestnut probably immediately, or he was on his phone and totally ignoring it, or he went to the restroom, or he changed the channel. They have no idea to know these things.
In fact, it's happened for decades, so it's kind of glossed over. But the math they used to estimate how effective a campaign was is how much did we spend, and they know that maybe they reached 70% was wasted.
Right.
What's the famous?
So 50%.
50% of every dollar's wasted.
You just don't know which
half.
Yeah.
It's worse than 50 though.
Yeah. In those cases. Yeah. And I think radio is similar, traditional radio, that is. And I think that's why you're seeing a mass exodus going to, these either paid programs or moving over into the podcast world, and actually knowing that somebody actually downloaded it. They had to actually download that podcast and actually listen to it so that you can say, yes, that's one.
Yeah.
Now, however,
and that is the right one, because usually those podcasts are niche enough, specific enough that they're attracting an audience that you understand and define. And
I think, and it's similar when you talk about like stuff like this, like people do it on purpose. And, Netflix, something I didn't know, Netflix was around before YouTube. You know when Netflix started? 1998.
Yeah, I guess so, with the DVDs.
Sure. He had to be so ahead of the curve. I mean, I remember we're listening to an interview years ago, and he was talking about, he knew that what was coming.
Yeah.
However, he knew. I think he ran in those circles, and he He knew that there was going to be, broadband was going to come. This was even, 98. You're talking, it was early.
I remember when they kind of switched, and you could tell they were switching from DVDs.
Yeah.
And they started building this online thing. Yeah. Thinking, what are you doing?
Right.
I thought that for about a month, and I finally tuned in and went, okay, I see what you're doing.
So he talked about, like I needed to be, it didn't make sense long term to mail people CDs. He knew that.
Yeah.
But one thing he did know is that I can get these people to recognize Netflix. They still made money. They still did make money. Mm-hmm. Not a lot, but he wanted to own these consumers already. The mind share, and he had their information, all of that stuff, email address, all of that, so that later when the masses could be reached with his overall, he wanted to stream. He knew that was the way to go. Yep. And I think there's a famous story where he went to Blockbuster early on and said, well, I'll sell you guys, Netflix for $4 million. Yeah, right. No. And they said no. And this is the paraphrase. Of course, he said that they told him is because they did research and that their consumer said that they enjoyed the in-store experience. Yeah. Well, I'm like, did you tell them that they could actually like pick a movie in their underwear?
Right.
And if they didn't like it, seconds later, they could be on to another one.
Yeah.
And it cost less than 3 movies for the month, and they could watch a movie every night.
It was a game changer. I tell you what, think how forward looking you have to.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, you kill Blockbuster.
Right.
With the better DVD solution. Right.
Right.
And then you're thinking forward enough where you kill yourself. You kill your old business to create this online.
Right. You do.
He's probably, I don't know what he's thinking for next, but there's probably something we're not thinking of yet.
Well, I mean, they already doing it. They're becoming their own creators, content creators, and we don't need Hollywood to create stuff. We'll do it.
Right.
We'll give people, I think Jerry Seinfeld, and I think now they've had this big issue, like they had Obama and Michelle Obama sign this big deal with them. It's like, so what?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see the big deal.
People, yeah.
I mean, they're just an information houser.
Right. It's interesting that talking about the attention economy that the model for Netflix just contains no ads.
Right.
You're paying to avoid.
The
ads and
Hulu
binge watching. Yeah.
You can pay for Hulu not to have ads in it, and like all of those are offering it. And I'm not a gamer, but my daughter plays certain things, and she's always walking up and like, Daddy, can I get this? And it's an end game, and she wants to buy like 60 coins, and it's just 99 cents.
Yeah.
But they do give you an alternative sometimes, and watch this ad.
Right.
Only problem with some of these, because I've watched them just to see what they're sending, is it's still not targeted to who the user is, because my daughter's playing a game,
right,
and they're talking about a product that's irrelevant to her. But to what we're talking about is they said you can give us 99 cents or you can give us your attention. Right. So they basically said your attention was worth to them 99 cents.
Sure. Yeah. It's actually a currency at that point.
Right.
Use that, your attention. Yeah.
So Sponster. That's the part that's exciting about this whole conversation, is how taking the privacy issue, which we talked about, and then taking the attention economy where we are, and how those intersect, and how you came up with Sponsor and what's a Sponster, and how, where you see that going. What do you see that looking like?
So the basic idea behind Sponsor, we kind of talked about your attention as a product is you should be the one selling it.
Right.
You're the supplier. Get in on the action. You control and open up, enter the marketplace.
Right.
Provide marketers with a better way to reach you. Nobody can sell Randall's attention as efficiently and as well as Randall can.
Right.
Right. And so what's it look? So we've built basically a system where the advertisers can literally buy attention directly from the consumer.
Right.
Right now they're buying it from third parties. The data on the third party scenario is sketchy. There's a lot of misses.
Right.
Involved.
Right. I deal with that on a daily basis.
Everything. So let's clean that up. That model is not working. That third party model doesn't work for data and privacy. It doesn't work for attention delivery. Let's really put a buyer, an advertiser, directly in touch with a seller and a supplier, a consumer.
Right.
And just rewrite the rules. And so what Sponsor does is allow advertisers to sponsor people. As an advertiser, I can say, Randall fits. I know he's going to want this product I've got for him. I've got to get into, and everybody, and I know his characteristics. He loves,
golf.
Yeah, you don't like golf, do you?
No, do I like golf? No, I'm good at cheating at golf, but not good at golf.
Is it high handicap?
Tennis. I like tennis.
Okay, but whatever your interests are, you fit this product. I've got to get in front of you.
Yeah.
In the third party way, I've got to figure out. I've got to guess where's your attention going to be so I can interrupt you.
Right. Well, you have to, yeah, exactly. You have to guess based on what my prior things were. And you had no idea if that was me, my kid, or my, or somebody else on a shared computer. So yeah.
But so I'm just I want to sponsor Randall. Whatever he's going to watch next, whatever song he's going to download, app he's going to buy for his daughter,
right?
That sort of thing. I want him to see my ad. He's the one I want to sponsor. So I'm just going to give him. I'm going to buy the attention from him. He can take that money and buy whatever he wants with it.
So the process. So walk me through the process. I decide today. Mm-hmm. You know what? That sponsor thing. I do want to own my data. Yeah. How doing that? It deals with the privacy issue. I want to break it into. So I decide, you know what? I want to try that out. I want advertisers to pay me directly for my attention, and I'm willing to do that. But how does it answer the privacy issue?
Right. You have to back up a step to the data issue first.
Right.
You have to first create a profile of yourself.
Okay.
And so our platform, UData, is a way for you to basically tag yourself with your consumer interests. You own the data. We don't own the data. No advertisers ever get access to the data, but you just tag yourself. You come into our system and you answer questions. What type of ethnic cuisine, Italian, Thai, Tex-Mex, what kind of car you drive, kids, home zip code. It's nothing creepy. We don't even want your name. In fact, it's not, I shouldn't even say we don't want. You don't put in your name. You don't put in your social security.
So how do you verify that that's an actual person, not a...
With yourself.
Okay, gotcha.
We do send you a mobile text because advertisers want to know. If you really think of advertisers now as your customers,
right?
Your customers want to know you're real,
right?
You need to validate for them that you're real. So we send it there, like the confirmation code,
right, and that's common, and
that's
verifying that this is your Facebook account.
That also helps an advertiser feel comfortable that you don't have 15 different accounts. You have to have 15 different phones.
And there's always ways of people gaming systems and stuff, but on the average, nobody's going to have 15 cell phones.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Pay more for the cell phone.
Right. So now I've gone there. Yeah. I've tagged, however many questions that 10 minutes. I go in there, I tag myself, and no one's going to know that this is Randall Chestnut, that they only know that this is a person who loves tennis, who sucks at golf, or whatever, all these questions. Pet, have a 9-year-old daughter, all these types of things. Yep. So now I have this data. Mm-hmm. I feel secure that now I own it, I control it. No one there's not even a face to it. It's just a profile.
Right.
What is so now on the advertiser side, that's where for me it's exciting, being in that business and using YouTube, Facebook, Instagram to really having to dive into the data based on what somebody is doing, and sometimes guessing because they liked, Dr. Oz, that they're going to like organic food or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's fun. I think that's the part that's most familiar for you, right? You've got you're kind of a Facebook marketing whiz, right? So you've gone in, you built hundreds of campaigns where you're defining an audience,
right?
And you don't know the names of the people in that audience. You're just saying they need to be this age range, live in this zip code or this geographic area, have this interest. So the same thing happens within sponsor. You've got advertisers on the other side of the fence who never get your data, but they define the audience they want to reach.
Right.
They define their profile that matches who they want to reach. They then bid cash money for your attention, 10 cents, 25 cents, whatever it's worth for you to engage with this ad. They're going to pay you to do that.
Right.
So each ad within sponsor, as you see it on screen, comes with a little bit of money attached to it. It's not much. You're not going to get rich watching ads. The attention economy will never make you rich.
Right.
But it will be enough
to subsidize
the stuff that advertising is already subsidizing.
Right. I agree with that.
You're more in control.
So back up on my side. So I marketing side, run these campaigns, these Facebook and Twitter and all these types. I have an idea on how much these advertisers are paying for certain types of engagement. There's one where it is impression. They don't have to do anything. It just has to be in front of them. Super cheap. Right.
Yep.
But to get an actual engagement, to know that that person actually engaged with it,
right?
You're talking, that is magic.
Yeah.
And that's not cheap.
Right.
Overall, it's way more affordable than outside. But I'm saying, you're talking $1, $2, depending on the industry or product you're selling. But when I say it's not cheap, it's $1 cheap compared to you run a radio ad and television.
It's cheaper than the alternative.
Yeah. So understanding that concept. So now for me, what's exciting on that side is building out a campaign, knowing that the person's all I need to do with my client is understand who is your true target market.
Right.
It's single moms who are recently divorced moms who are looking to shed a few pounds, and they eat right and they work out, but they can't get past that. Mm-hmm. And you have this supplement that's going to help with whatever that is.
Right.
And knowing that I can go in and that is delivered to somebody who just told me who is that real person.
Yeah. Let me correct you. They didn't tell you.
They didn't tell me that they find themselves. Yeah. And the system, I said, this is what I want. And then it goes in there and it delivers it only to somebody who said that's what they are.
That's right.
And me on my side, how much would you be willing to pay for that person's verified attention? They're going to watch your video, and the only way that they can get compensated is they watch it all the way through.
That's true. Yeah.
And then they have to verify that they watched it. How much would you be willing to pay? And they say, I'd be willing to pay $1 because that's what I was paying on these other platforms too. Yeah. Let's try it out. You deliver it. A consumer now, I know for sure when only time I have to pay is when they watch that whole video. Yeah. In this case, this example, sure. And pay them $1. You take that over and over, and you take the concept of like, I'll just use YouTube.
Okay.
Someone goes to YouTube and they watch that pre-roll, right? And I'm asking you.
They love watching pre-rolls, though.
Well, no, yeah, to skip it. Well, people might change their mind if the pre-roll was, hey, you're going to get paid. First off, it's relevant to you, and you're going to get paid a quarter. Let's say it's a quarter. Yeah. And now you go and you watch Karina Garcia make slime or review a toy, or they help you fix your 85 Audi radiator, and you appreciate that guy took the time to build a YouTube or video, post it on YouTube, saved you hundreds of dollars. And now you just watch an ad and you go and you watch the content. And at the end of it, it says, hey, would you like to compensate him with the money that you just got paid, 5, 10, 25, or all of it? And you go, you know what? He can have that whole quarter because he saved me thousands of dollars.
Sure. Yeah.
I want to break down that concept from my side, how powerful that is. Yeah. So as an advertiser, they love that.
Before we move to the publishers.
It's powerful. Publishers.
But to the advertiser, I just want to point out, so the marketer is a perfect match every time.
Yeah.
And the person on the other side of that match, the consumer you're reaching, opted in. They define themselves for you. They're allowing you in. You're welcome. And that's part of the psychology of the ad. Think of the psychology of, instead of being interrupted by this, I can't remember what I was watching the other day, but I saw the same pre-roll or the same intermittent ad like 4 to 5 times. It wasn't on target in the first place.
Right.
And I had to watch it 4 to 5 times. That's how inefficient that built up resentment in me. I'm mad at that advertiser.
The brand,
Even the alternative, our way is, no, you don't think of advertisers as pests anymore. They're your customers.
Right.
And so they came to you respectfully. They said, I think you'll like this product. I want to buy your attention to it. And you didn't. And basically they didn't pay. And so our system, if you kind of log in, we talk with this. Advertiser didn't pay unless it's validated. Like you're actually tapping or clicking or swiping.
Right.
Telling the advertiser, yes, customer, I saw your ad.
Yep.
Pay me. And so that's a very transparent transaction. And it sets up the psychology, the mindset for receiving your brand impression is, yeah, thank you. That did fit me. You respected my attention. You came through me instead of buying my attention for someone else. You came through me. So now I'm more receptive to your
message. Yeah, right.
And the advertiser probably spent less because they wasted much less.
Yep.
They didn't pay unless they knew measurable. So once you again think of advertising as that product, and when you take the mess out and put buyer and seller together, magic things happen, man.
Right. I agree. For me, that's magic. For you have a happy client because he's getting these people that are engaging with it. Yeah, and if it leads them down this other trail, that's always great. To where they turn into a customer or even fan.
Yeah. At least you know what to do with it. As a marketing consultant like you would know. Well, we reached the right person with the right message.
Right.
They did see it. We know they saw it. We can make adjustments on what happened after that now. But now you're still, and it gets better. Facebook's doing a better job and everything. I know you know that, but still you're kind of guessing, okay, of these numbers, these clicks, how many were the right people? Did they see it?
Right. If you just think about, if your only thing you did was look at Instagram and Facebook during the day, those ads collectively, $10. At least $10 that were spent on that ad, even if it was an impression. If you didn't click on any of them, still, because there's the average person scrolling, and depending on the type of ad that is, if it was an impression ad or a reach ad, and it reached them, whoever it was on the other end paid for it.
Yes.
So $10, I know So let's say it's $5, right? If now they move that $5 into your pocket, right? You as a consumer or your family, let's say you have a family of 3 or 4, 2 kids and a husband and wife,
right?
And they are of age where they can all have an account that's collecting $5 every day for minutes, maybe 2 to 3 minutes a day doing this. So $5 a day, like you said, is not going to get rich. Collectively, though, this is what's powerful for me is that's $150 a month. If it's a couple, that's $300 a month. And it's the kids, that's $600 a month that's entering into that family. So for me, now you move over to the I'm a publisher on the site, but I'm also a person that money that they are getting from these other publishers can go into my coffer too. So that you take the Netflix model or not Netflix. Let's say you take a cell phone. You have your monthly cell phone bills, $50, $60, whatever they are, Boost, Cricket, or whatever these sites. If a company was able to say, hey, I know you don't have in your budget to cover XYZ, but I have a way that advertisers would be willing to either pay or subsidize most of that. Would you be interested? This is crazy.
Yeah, sure.
That they would be able to do these, that a family of 4 could, in that scenario, would have $600 that they could use for whatever they wanted internally in their family, whether it was to pay for movies or stuff that they're already doing,
anything,
or save it and put it into the market and make 600 grow into more, over a long period of time.
That's what happens when the advertiser can sponsor a person.
Yes,
right. I don't really care. I didn't sponsor a show. They may not have used that money on a show, an app, a song, a blog. They may have used it on coffee. I sponsored their coffee.
Yeah, that's true.
It's literally that transaction with selling selling attention.
Right.
As you sold it, that's proceeds for you. That's your revenue.
Right.
You use it on what you want.
Yeah. I think we already have companies. You see it in the app, mostly in the app world, where they're saying, hey, instead of paying for that new life or coin or that new map opening, you can just give us your attention. I think that same concept is going to start bleeding over into, and it already probably has, into different segments of like stuff like that we're talking about, and with Sponsor rolling out.
I want to come back to the example you used of the when you watched the car repair,
right?
It's something that gave you a tip. I think of guitar lessons, golf lessons, recipes. Every time you went online and somebody solved a problem for you, as a coder, when I code, the Stack Overflow is a site where you go, somebody already, every problem, you just Google it, it comes up on, and there's basically a community of people solving a problem on your coding. It just saved you 2 hours, 3 hours of time.
Wow.
To be able to thank that person, tip that person,
right?
Literally just drop something in the tip jar. Man, $1, sure, I'll watch this ad. You keep the money.
Right.
That's kind of what we see as the next nice warm and fuzzy step of this, is rewarding good content creators,
right, for
an appreciative audience, giving them a way to tip and reward and donate,
right,
basically using someone else's money.
Well, you see that with Twitch and Twitch owns live.me, that this exact thing is going on over there. They're doing lives, and people can actually give them like I'm not 100% familiar, but I know that they can pay them. Basically, they get paid to do these things, just like gamers on Twitch get paid for this. They're producing the content.
Yeah.
They are bringing the advertiser. They are bringing the advertisers to it, and they're compensating them for the content creation, not necessarily for their attention. I guess in that scenario,
well, I think
the gamers creating the content to drive the those people to listen, and the advertisers letting them in on it a little bit.
That's good. Yeah, they reward the broadcast game.
Same with YouTube. YouTube does that with their YouTubers. They say, hey, you created this badass content that has millions of views. We're going to give you a little bit.
Yeah, and it is a little bit.
Yeah, it is a little. No, it is.
All the brew. It's fractions of a penny for most of the ads that show.
Yeah.
And I think just even the direct relationship between a content provider and their audience.
Right.
You can get more efficient in that too. Like I've kind of lost my train of thought on the ability to tip.
Right.
There's a growing trend out there of people who appreciate good content. Think of Wikipedia.
Right.
2 examples. Wikipedia is one where they just run a campaign just like NPR would every year, and you donate to Wikipedia. We all want Wikipedia to be there, and yet they refuse to show ads. They rely on donations, and they do okay, I think, on donations. They're always working out ways to do it better. Patreon's another site where somebody decides I've got a good audience. I just like to write a chapter in my book at a time or support my podcast. I'm developing independent content that a slice of an audience really enjoys.
Right.
And keep it going. And the audience buys in. There's a great success stories over at Patreon of listeners or readers or whatever.
Yep.
Contributing to a podcast and donating. So we want to tap into that too. And we think that if we can attach sponsorship to the person, and now the person can take that sponsorship money and use it to support the media they want to support.
Right.
I think that chain is going to.
I think that's going to help with, kind of segue into like some of the crazy stuff that's going on with AI and augmented reality. Yeah. That you imagine yourself being totally immersed in the actual ad. For us, it's super exciting, and what that's going to look like that a consumer can put on these, normal glasses, and they walk in the grocery store and using the data that they own, the grocery store has no idea. All the grocery stores becomes the data houser, right? The person that now when you walk in, it just plugs in and says, well, Randall loves, Captain Crunch. Yeah. And it knows that in the glasses, it says Captain Crunch is over there, and it can make recommendations off of that, or it knows the items that you are, you're shopping for, and it can make recommendations on other, complementary things. That's getting even deeper into privacy issues if someone else owns that. It makes more sense for everyone that just let the consumer own it. You don't need to have that. At the end of the day, all advertisers want to do is sell shit.
Yeah.
And the way that they do that is they have to find out the right person. If you don't play golf, they don't want to deliver anything to somebody who doesn't play golf. And then specifically, what is it that Trey really has an issue with? A hook, slice, all the above. I'm a great cart driver, though. I can drive the hell out of those carts.
I can drink
I could run a battery down.
I don't want to pick the ball up. I want slow pace of play. I can walk.
Yeah, I was like, go ahead.
You're describing the Minority Report.
Yeah, Minority
Report. That scene where Tom Cruise walks in and the store knows him, starts, hey, actually wasn't him because he had fake eyeballs.
Right.
But if we get to that point, you're talking about AR and VR and what that's going to. There's a lot of potential in those technologies.
Right.
For marketing.
Right. I know that some of the stuff you do see, you just can't like disclose some of this. You evolve in that. Yes.
But
being in Silicon Valley,
it's got to be in place for that to happen. Is the data.
Yes.
Where's that data going? How's that? How do they know so much about that person with that eyebrow? I can't remember the guy's name who he stole, but okay, we have to decide at some point. We're going to have to decide: did the store have data on you,
right,
or did you have data on you? And you're just in your own data recognize you're in the store. You may want this. So is it going to be in your glasses, or is it going to be? Is that data going to live out there? I don't think it works living out there. I think privacy is going to get a little too creepy for people, and I think more importantly, third-party data just can never be as good as first-party data.
I agree with that.
I don't care. Like I still go to Amazon. Amazon's a great example of they know they make recommendations based on a profile they're building of you, what you bought at the store, and they're still trying to sell me Thomas Tank Engine. And my son just graduated high school.
Oh, there you go. So they still housing that stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if I bought a gift for somebody that wasn't my interest, you know what I mean? That's the folly of third-party data is, and especially a shared computer. All it can do is track clicks and purchases.
Right.
It's not truly. You still have to sift through a bunch of junk and noise to get to who the true person is.
That's true. So
one thing that first-party data is going to do is allow a person to define themselves. That's going to solve 80-90% of the needs for marketers.
Right.
And you kind of mentioned the store, the merchants. All they do they want to sell shit. That's what you said, right?
Yep.
And so, but what they're right now forced to do is they have to hire CIOs and all this to build data, and they're having to collect data to try and be more effective at it. Content producers like newspapers and online sites, they're collecting data because they think because they have dual markets. They're creating content, and yet they have to sell attention,
right,
to keep the lights on. What if I think first party data? If there's another solution, we can let the merchants focus on making and selling good shit, and we can let the publishers focus on making and selling good content,
right,
and not have to worry about not being in the business of data anymore.
Right.
I've seen conferences where you have publishers, or Procter & Gamble is a good example recently, that just spoke up and said, we're not spending anymore in digital online until you fix this mess. We know, first of all, we know we're being cheated. We're fraudulent. You're making promises you can't deliver. They got fed up with it, and they just said no more until you fix this. And so publishers, and that's a pretty popular sentiment among advertisers. So publishers are on the other side of the fence thinking, well, God, do we have to clean up our data now? Are we really going to get good at data, or should we just focus on content? They're kind of struggling. They're kind of crumbling under that. They're spreading themselves a little thin. I think they should focus on content.
Right.
And we'll come up with a better solution for monetizing that content.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Having dealt with that on a daily basis, I mean, it's a challenge for, this for sure, a smaller business that's not publicly traded to really come up with really good content, because it requires a lot of time, and it can be, it's still, there's an expense involved in creating video content, and somebody writing copy and doing all that. And this, in the old days, it wasn't that hard to understand marketing. It was, bring me the flyer, it's approved, go print it and deliver it to the house, right? And put it in their mailbox. That's easy for the average person, could figure that out. If they ran a radio ad, they bring the radio ad, they write a little script for you, they do a voiceover, they send it to you, you approve it, and you know how it's delivered to the consumer. It's the 15 seconds for the traffic report or whatever. And then television, same thing. Now you're getting a little bit more expensive, but it's a video, and they deliver it on TV, and it's going to be in these time slots. Easy. The issue now that business owners are struggling with is, they not only do they now have to understand marketing, they have to also understand technology. And they are overwhelmed because there's Snapchat, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and all these other, and then deep dive inside of them, and then it gets really crazy. So they revert back to what they know. And it's not working, and you're seeing that. But the people who can afford it, it's working great for them. They stick in, they can stick with it. So
that's a great point. You're talking about even I was talking about the big boys struggling with the smaller.
And they are the lifeblood for most agencies. Are these mid to small businesses. And when I say small, I mean, mom and pops are not going to work for agencies even. I mean, they're just going to have to figure it out now. And it's tough. It is really tough for somebody who's starting off by themselves.
Complex system to try and figure out.
But I think that a sponsor helps solve those problems, because they're not having to understand. It's easy to understand. You go in there and all you need to know is, what do you sell and who buys it?
Who should know about my product?
And that's it.
Who needs to know about it and come in and buy it right now?
right now. We call that direct response advertising. Like, directly get their information so you can call them and get them in an appointment or to take you up on an offer. So I want to close with two things. One is there's two sides of this. There is the consumer, where they can go. I wanted you to tell them where they can go to set up, and you're still in beta. And then there's another side of it where there's actually the tip jar concept of how those people can benefit on the platform.
Anybody watching, I know you've got a smart market-oriented audience. Like you said, we're in beta, just getting started. This is an ambitious project, so we need feedback.
Right.
And if somebody has time, they're sitting there watching this, go to sponsor.me. Kind of go through the process, build a profile on yourself at UData, activate it with your mobile phone, start seeing these ads. There are already ads there. You should fit something. You should fit some audience. I know we've got enough in the beta program. You'll have ads show up. You'll get a feeling for how this should work, and kind of our vision for, you'll feel in control the whole time. You'll get these, you'll see your little balance as you collect these ads. You don't get to do anything with the balance in beta, but we'll get there.
Well, I think that's wise for both parties, because if you set the expectation up in the front, is like, we need you to feel and see what it's gonna be like, so that you can build this off.
Help us build
it, because it's always the chicken and the egg, and then you got the farmer in the middle that you've talked about.
That's right.
Which is the blogger, like a blogger, or content publisher.
We're going to try and use those guys as the farmer.
So that's where they go to sponsor.me, not .com, .net. Sponsor.me. And just create a profile. It doesn't take that long. They can answer or mark themselves as many questions. There's up to 300 plus markers that they could put.
It depends completely on the person.
But they could do.
There's probably 50 different surveys. From your car to how you like your vacation style, health and beauty, goals, family, work. There's every category in there, and it's pretty fun to tag yourself. It's and it's well done, but I might add. Thank you.
And so they can play around with that and like see where you're going and what it's like. I mean, it's like these early adopters of Facebook way back when somebody said the Facebook, like what the Facebook, you know, and it was in the universities, and those people understood it. You know, that's exciting for people who are early adopters to see something grow and be a part of it. So that's something that you're looking for.
Yeah, it's probably exciting to be at Harvard when the Facebook.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, your listeners, they're basically our Harvard.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
Hey, early adopters,
and then you've got the other side, the publishers. Now, what would they do?
Side. So we kind of talked about, so in any marketplace, you have to build consumers and buyers, right? Consumers and advertisers,
right?
So that's the chicken and the egg in any marketplace. You have to have enough advertisers to attract enough consumers to attract enough advertisers. How do you get there? So we're focusing on the farmer, like we talked about. And the farmer for us is the publishers, bloggers, anybody who wants to provide their audience with a better ad experience and make more revenue for themselves.
Right.
Keep it kind of warm and fuzzy and respectful. They kind of like our philosophy. We've got an embeddable tip jar that they can put on their blog site. Fits really easy on a sidebar, and it allows the consumers, their visitors, to sign up. When they consume their ads on the blog site, they can instantly drop, like you say, that 25 cents, that 50, whatever the amount is, into a tip jar. Split it with them 50-50, whatever they're comfortable with. So there's basically a tip jar widget that can go on a published site that's basically an ad network.
Right.
We want to be your ad network.
So an example would be, I want to show people how to play a guitar. Let's say it's that, right? Sure. I create an account for a tip jar. I take this small bit of code, put it on my site. No different than when somebody put an AdSense or something like that. I can totally remove all the other stuff that doesn't make any money anyway.
You could, but you don't have to.
You don't have to, but
you could.
You put that little window there. And now anytime a consumer comes to my page, they could see that and said, hey, if you would like to get paid for your attention, you could do this, create the account. They go through, but let's say that the consumer already did. They now come to my guitar training site, which is not free. It's $10. Let's say it's $10 a month. And, or maybe it's not, maybe it's free. Maybe it's free. That's not free. Yeah. Right. But so now I go in there and boom, it says, hey, there's two ads here totaling $1.50.
Sure.
I go, watch those two ads. And then I can at that moment tip that person who's about to show me how to play a guitar lesson with that $1.50. And he wins, I win because I got to learn how to play the guitar. And it makes the content much better because he's getting paid for it.
That's right.
If she's getting paid for it.
I mean, so the publishers like this guitar lesson,
right? Or bloggers, travel bloggers, fashion, lifestyle.
He's doing this, so he gets to tell his users now, I do this because I love it.
Right.
I need your support. I'd love your support. If you feel like, and so I can either litter my site with ads that annoy you. I can put up a paywall that annoys you. I can do a lot of things. I'm just going to let you bring the ads. If you like what I'm doing, consume your ads here. You're going to get paid. I'm going to get paid. Everybody's happy. It works.
Right.
So, we're hoping, and we're pretty optimistic. Some good early feedback that's a good model for the bloggers as well.
So if somebody wanted to do that, create a tip jar that they could put on their blog or site, they would go to sponsor.me and there's
actually bloggers.sponsor.me.
Okay.
There's a link.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a link actually at sponsor.me for the blog.
Okay. And they could create that.
That's right.
Well, Trey, man, I appreciate you driving all the way across town, flying in. First off, you flew in from San Francisco, and were you out there for 10 days?
I'm out there about 10 days at a time.
Yeah. I know that could be taxing on traveling back and forth.
I like it. It's a nice little nap on Southwest.
Right. Well, I appreciate you coming in. And again, they can find you and Sponsor at sponsor.me. Yep. And I want to thank you again. And hey, for everybody who enjoyed this, go to our podcast. We're on Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, and subscribe to, thank you. And subscribe to the channel, download. You can go to our Facebook page at Facebook/Think Like a Marketer Show. Hey, I'm Randall Chestnut, and this is the end of episode 4. And again, thank you, Trey, for coming in.
My pleasure. Enjoy it, man.